Hey friends, this is Corescent Current, and today we're going to take a look at data plugging cables or data plugging adapters. Those are there to actually protect your devices against some attack vectors where you, for example, charge your phone or your laptop off a public charging station, for example, in your bus or in your town hall, and an attacker has implanted some malicious code that tries to execute commands or sideload things onto your device via this charger. So let's say you brought your USB-C cable and you plug it into the public charger and then to your phone, and then the charger will immediately try to talk to your phone and infect it with malware. The use case of this device, the one is a cable, the other one is the adapter, is just to completely cut out any kind of data transmission. So the data lines in both of them should not be connected at all. And I first saw this PortaPow data blocker. It is some, I don't know if it's a startup or some small company that does that, but it's quite obviously a lot more expensive. So I presumed this, sorry for the loud crunching noises, to be some low volume product, also due to the fact that this packaging clearly is stolen from some food packaging market or something like this. But let's first start by unpacking it, and then we'll take a look at both of them. But it comes with a little manual, let's say, which just says that it's allowing your device, phone, tablet, other device, to charge while blocking data transfer. The thing is, originally those came with USB-A, and then they've been upgraded to USB-C. And they forgot about a really important thing. They forgot about the USB-C power delivery standard, which kind of makes this dangerous, to be honest. So let's first continue reading. If it's not charging as expected, we can use a fast charging speed. But let's take a look and see if that's actually true. And yeah, making data blockers since 2008, widest range of solutions. So it's not a startup. So they've already been doing that for almost 20 years. Interestingly enough, they kind of forgot about the USB PD standard. And yeah, so just the usual signs that you need to have. Let's take a look at the data blocker. It even says there on the connector, if you can read it. Nice, okay. Because the thing itself is pretty much what you expect. It feels a bit thin, but it only needs the power lines and no data lines. So let's directly test it and then take a look. And we're going to use the USB4 cable as a reference. This one can do 40 gigabits at 240 watts. And I'm going to show you why we're using that. So we will see, hopefully, that it is blocking the data. And yeah, it's not showing us blocking the data. So, and that's the first thing where they kind of forgot about the USB PD standard. The thing is that this cable internally has an e-marker, so-called e-marker. That's a little chip that sits inside the connector that can talk to your phone, laptop, or whatever device and indicate what kind of data transfer speeds it's capable of, what its length is, voltages, currents, and many other things. And this data blocker is obviously not blocking that, so it's only blocking the USB speeds, the USB data lines, but not the power delivery negotiation wires. And if we take a look, then we can see, yes, the USB 4 is lit because the cable itself is indicating that it's a USB 4 cable and capable of doing USB 4 speeds, but it's not actually having the wires connected that are necessary for that. It's also indicating that it can do 48 volts at 5 amps, so 240 watts. And if we take a look at the connector pinout, we can see, yes, the data blocker is actually doing what it's supposed to do. It is just connecting the ground pins, which are the outer 4, the rebus pins, which are the inner 4, and the CC1 and CC2 pin, which are the ones responsible for the power delivery negotiations. And if we take a look at the details, we can see that also Shield is connected, which is nice, I suppose, but not really necessary because it's not like you're transmitting data on it, and for charging only you don't need Shield. And now the problem is that all the devices you connect with a data blocker to a charger will only be able to see the cable that you originally wanted to use. And in this case, it's a 240 watt cable. But the problem is that this data blocker is most certainly not capable of handling 48 volts at 5 amps because it's not specified anywhere. It doesn't say on the packaging what kind of voltages or currents it can do. It doesn't say here, it just does this cryptic if it doesn't work as expected. It's because it supports fast charging, but the cable itself supports fast charging. My devices would support fast charging, but I'm not sure what would happen if I apply 5 amps of current at 48 volts through this. So they kind of missed an opportunity there to actually have this pop up as some kind of USB extender, even though USB-C extenders are not allowed. They are not within part of the standard, so there's no way to get yourself recognized as one. But you could theoretically act as a one-port USB-C hub, so just the worst kind of hub where you have one connector and one socket as a hub. And that would be technically feasible to be recognized, and then the power delivery negotiations could switch through accordingly, where the lowest current, lowest voltage of both of the devices would be used to charge whatever device you're connecting to it. So nice idea. The attack vector is definitely there, but something tells me that they didn't fully think this through. And I'm really curious about the second one, because that obviously is a lot more streamlined. So it comes in one of those bags that I probably got 100 of by now. They also have the usual stickers that you expect, and they have this interesting safety instructions and warranty manual, which just is an endless amount of text thrown at you, and I've honestly tried to read it before making this video, so we don't have to decipher this together, but practically it says nothing. It's just some liability blah blah that they do not expect anyone to read, not actually explain the function of the adapters or anything that could be useful in practical operations. So without further ado, those are the so-called data blocking adapters, and they are in their core the same as this cable. They are just shrunken down, so they save this piece of cable in the middle. And if you take a close look, let's take a look at one of them and not two, and focus on that correctly. Yes, that works. I hope that you can see it as well as I can. You can see that the case they used and the piece of plastic that they actually molded in there with a little PCB is, I think, normally used as a power indicator adapter. So there just is a big blank space with a PCB that just has 1 or 2 components on, so one per side. I think that's one capacitor per side to stabilize the voltages, and the rest is empty. So I'm quite sure that there should be a little display or any kind of indication in there that they normally would put in there. But as they're selling that as a data blocker, they just wrote data blocker on USB data blocker. Yeah, on both sides of the PCB, they wrote some kind of data blocker. So it's quite obvious that they reused this design and they reused the molds for this. Now, let's test it in the same fashion we tested the last one, and I'm quite sure that it will behave identically than the last one. Yes, it pretty much does. So the cable itself is capable of advertising its eMarker capabilities, so it will show up as a USB 4 cable, even though no of the data lines are connected. The that's something that's funnily also a problem with cables that do not have data lines included by default. Even those will show up as USB speeds theoretically, because the standard does not include no data lines being connected as shown in the eMarker. So voltage is again 48 volts, currents 5 amps, and the connected pins are pretty much identical. So the cable itself is capable of advertising that it is a USB power delivery enabled cable, meaning that we hope that this element here can handle 48 volts at 5 amps, but we have no way of making sure because it's kind of not advertising itself as such. And the connected pins are the same. So I do have the feeling that one of those manufacturers took a really close look at the original, because connecting the shield through this adapter makes as little sense as it did with the first cable, and the fact that they have agreed on both doing this is kind of suspicious. So like I said, the eMarker is there, so that's the eMarker from this cable, and there's no way of being recognized as a data plugging device being in line if we have the eMarker infos on screen. So with this, I can now tell you I still support using USB data blockers, but as it is generally the case with the USB-C standard, it is a bit of a mess, because it's really complicated, it's unintuitive for people to know that not only your phone is talking to your charger, but also your cable is talking to your phone while charging. So there's one piece of active electronics inside that people do not know about. And I would still use it in public spaces where I'm wary of actual hacking going on, but I would definitely not use it for power delivery negotiations of anything that can fast charge above the regular, let's say up to 3 amps, but even there, I'm not sure. With that, thanks for watching. Please subscribe. Thanks to the YouTube Premium subscribers, and if you have any questions, just put them in comments below. And I do have to make some really wild things up so that the content, whatever mill YouTube is, creates me up. So just write some wild stuff into the comments so that it gets pushed. Thank you very much, and we'll see each other next week.